Welcome everybody to 311 Griffins. This is Sandman, and today I'm playing the open beta of Digital Combat Simulator 1.5. Very exciting for flight simmers out there. Everybody's been looking forward to this for quite some time, and we're going to go through just some of the things I've noticed while I've got some of this video back here in the play, and I'm just going to talk about some random stuff. So I noticed a few missing textures and things like that, some odd textures, but again, this is a beta, so I'm sure a lot of that stuff's going to get fixed pretty soon. A few things I noticed, and I don't want to talk about this too much, but it was a little bit confusing downloading 1.5. I went over to the web page after I saw the changelog come out, and I saw that there was a beta, but it looked like the beta for regular DCS World, and that was a little bit confusing. The picture looks the same. It wasn't very clear anyway. I even, Warlock, who I fly with, he actually downloaded the whole thing, and all he got to was version 1.2.6 or something like that, which I heard reports or saw reports on the forums that other people were having that issue. Anyway, once I finally confirmed that it was in fact 1.5 and downloaded it, it wouldn't run, and there was a missing DLL. A lot of people had that problem as well, and you had to download Microsoft Visual Basic Redistributable 2013, I think, and had some trouble with that. But once I got it up and running, it fired up. A couple other things I noticed: the mission editor looks the same, and the weather system, at least as far as I can tell, is the same. So those were some things that I wanted to see changed. Again, this is a beta, so some stuff is going to change that hasn't yet. And obviously some things are going to change when they go to 2.0 as well, which shouldn't be too long. Anyway, it does look really good. I am very impressed with a lot of the stuff that I do see here. Performance-wise, I'm not for sure if I've got a performance boost or increase. And you'll see in the video there's some frame rate problems. I think that might have to do with fraps instead of DCS. It might be a combination of the two. I'm not really for sure. But Shadowplay is not working for me. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's not recording right, so I've had to go back to using fraps. And I don't really like using fraps. At any rate, other than the performance issues that I can't really blame on DCS World, there were just a few texture things that I think will probably get resolved. But as you can see already, it does look good. Very subtle differences to lighting and shadows and some of the particle effects and things like that. But I am impressed with it. So as we go through this, I just tried some different times of day and some different aircraft to see what things I would notice, and we'll talk about that as we go through all this. So here we're flying the F-86. I wanted to test the visibility differences when you're dogfighting, and I didn't really notice a lot of the differences with the MiG-15 as I was trying to see it dogfight, but here you can see some slight lighting differences. It looks pretty slick actually, but I couldn't tell much about, I still had trouble picking up the MiG-15. I kind of expect that. I don't know that that's a bad thing, but I was hoping that it would be a little bit easier to pick them up at distance, just to kind of head in the right direction. And maybe there's some settings that I can change. I'm not for sure, but I'm going to mess with it. Anyway, it wasn't bad, and I really don't like using labels. I feel like I'm cheating. So, and using the maps kind of the same way. So I try to turn those off, but I also don't want to get smoked every time I go up in the sky. You can see there's some differences with the G effects, the blackout, gray out, and there were some differences in how the red out occurred. I also read that there were some slight differences in the flight mechanics or the flight models, and I think I can't point to exactly what those were, but it did feel a little bit different, a little bit more realistic to me. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, that's about all I did with the F-86 because my track IR started messing with me as the sun got down behind the window at my back. Okay, so the next thing I tried was the F-15 at nighttime, and as you can see, the nighttime sky looks vastly different. That building over there has a texture missing, by the way. But it looks vastly different. The stars look great. In fact, the entire night sky looks great. The lighting looks great. I was really impressed with the way it looked at nighttime. You can see the mirrors there don't look quite right, but I'm not for sure why. And that might be something that was the case with DCS previously. It seems like I was flying at night one time and noticed the mirrors looking like that. Okay, so I did notice, I was struggling with the controls a little bit because it's been so long since I've flown the the F-15. But I did notice that it seemed like I was able to see these guys a little bit easier. And here I've kind of picked the MiG-29 up, and I'm kind of in a turning fight with him. And you can see him there traveling across the sky. I don't remember it being that easy to see them before. And again, I don't want it to be too unrealistic, but I also don't want to have to cheat to not be bored out of my mind and die all the time. So I'm trying to kind of get behind him here. I'm struggling with the controls with the radar system a little bit. I actually thought that he had turned on me and fired a missile at first, but those are just flares. And we're probably in too tight of a turn to put missile shots on him. I was also being very impatient. I also had a much better, this is something I do need to mention, I had a much better run through while I was trying to use shadow play, and I actually had a really good dogfight. And I couldn't use my guns here. I kept trying to use my guns right here and failed. I couldn't get them to work for some reason. But the previous flight that I did, it was really, really awesome. But shadow play didn't work. I was trying to record with that, so I went back and saved the track and tried to replay the track. And that was something else that a lot of people have had problems here and there with the track's not playing back correctly, and that's exactly what I had happen. So I'm hoping they get that fixed. I'm not sure what causes it, but I know several people have had that problem, and I did with the track that I was most impressed with my flying abilities on. I actually gun killed the MiG-29, so it was pretty cool. But anyway, the lighting looks great. Was able to pick these guys up a little bit and dogfight with them, so that was really cool. And that's about all I did with the F-15 just for the test run. Okay, so next we're going to move to the A-10 in some different weather conditions. Here I just wanted to point out a couple of texture things that I noticed. I mean, it looks great here above the clouds. It actually looks really good below the clouds, as you'll see in a minute. But as you go through the clouds, there's some texture issues. Again, I don't know what causes these. May not be completely DCS World's fault. I'm not really for sure, but it's just stuff I noticed. And then down here below the clouds, it looks pretty good. There's a lot of fog and haziness because it's a heavy rainstorm. But I saw some lines here and there, and I'm not for sure if that was supposed to be the rain streaks or if that was the different cloud layers off in the distance. But especially off towards the horizon, you can kind of see some lines. Could be just the clouds, I'm not for sure. Okay, so now here's some. It's clear, obviously, and down there on the mountains you can see some weird shadows. The forested areas seem to make some odd shadows from time to time. but obviously the mountains in this and the buildings here, they look really good, and the shadows look really good as the sun's coming up. Looks like there's some differences with the missile propulsion systems and the smoke trails and things like that, and the smoke coming from the tanks or from the explosions. Different particle effects. I'm not sure what all they changed, but they look pretty good. Oh yeah, tried to turn in on this guy and get a sidewinder shot on him, but by the time I turned around, he was too far gone. However, it does show how cool the game can be with different aircraft flying around, and the sun looks amazing. It's always looked pretty good in DCS. I've always been impressed with it, but yeah, they're really making some good changes here. This clip isn't really showing much other than just DCS in general, kind of how some of this stuff works. I mean, you get to see a little bit of smoke there and some smoke effects and things, but
pull up, pull up. Now pull up, pull up.
Oh, as you can see here, the turbine effects, the heat blur, it looks a lot better now. I've seen some other people's videos from previous DCS World that didn't look as bad as mine, but mine's always looked it wasn't that great.
Pull up,
but it looks better now. And then here I was going to test the tree collision, which I thought was going to be turned on, but apparently it's not. As you can see, I blew up into the hillside. But all in all, amazing changes. This clip really was one of my favorites from my test runs. It's amazing looking, as you can see right there. Just great looking lighting and effects. Only minor problems that I saw, and again, I want to reiterate, this I guess would be my third time. It is a beta, so a lot of times people get pretty angry about betas. The only time I've been angry about a beta before was when I was told I could get into it and I wasn't able to access it, but they've done a really good job on this, and I cannot wait for further updates in DCS2 and in TTR. That's the first module I've ever pre-purchased because I'm a little bit tight with my money, and but I'm really excited about this one. So anyway, good job, Hilo Dynamics. Thanks for watching.